Football is more than just a game. It's passion, identity, and tribal warfare played out on grass. Across Europe, certain matches transcend sport and become events that define cities, divide families, and create memories that last lifetimes. These aren't just derbies, they're battles where history, politics, religion, and regional pride collide with bone-crunching tackles and breathtaking goals. From Scotland's sectarian divide to Spain's cultural warfare, from Turkey's intercontinental clash to England's industrial rivalry, European football has given us spectacles that stop entire nations. Today, we're counting down the top 10 fiercest club rivalries in European football. Matches where the atmosphere could melt steel, where players become heroes or villains in 90 minutes, and where losing isn't just defeat, it's devastation. Whether you're a hardcore supporter or a casual fan, these rivalries represent everything raw and beautiful about football. So get ready, because we're about to explore hatred, passion, and glory in their purest forms. This is where football stops being a sport and becomes a way of life. Starting our countdown at number 10 is Spain's most underrated rivalry, the Seville Derby, El Gran Derbi, between Sevilla FC and Real Betis. This is a city divided down the middle, where families are split and friendships are tested twice a season. Sevilla, founded in 1890, represents the aristocratic establishment side of the city, while Real Betis, founded in 1907, is the people's club, born from the working-class neighborhoods and proud of their underdog status. The Ramon Sánchez Pizjuán Stadium and the Estadio Benito Villamarín become pressure cookers when these two meet, with Andalusian passion creating an atmosphere that visiting players describe as overwhelming. Sevilla has won 1 La Liga title and holds the record with 7 UEFA Europa League trophies, establishing themselves as European specialists. Betis has claimed 1 La Liga championship and 3 Copa del Rey titles, but their supporters will tell you that beating Sevilla matters more than any trophy. The matches have produced unforgettable moments. The 2007 Copa del Rey final saw Sevilla beat Betis in a match that nearly caused a civil war in the city. In 2000, Betis secured a dramatic 2-1 victory at the Pizjuán with a last-minute goal that sent their fans into absolute delirium. The rivalry has seen its share of controversy, too. In 2007, Sevilla's Antonio Puerta tragically collapsed during a derby match and later died, a moment that briefly united the city in mourning. Players who cross the divide face enormous pressure. Julio Baptista and José Antonio Reyes both made the controversial move from Betis to Sevilla and received hostile receptions. The city's football culture is unique in Spain, with both clubs maintaining fierce local support rather than attracting nationwide fan bases. When El Gran Derbi kicks off, Seville stops functioning, offices empty early, and the entire city holds its breath. This is Spanish football at its most passionate and locally intense. At number 9, we travel to Istanbul for the Intercontinental Derby between Galatasaray and Fenerbahçe, a rivalry that literally crosses continents. Istanbul is the only city in the world that straddles 2 continents, and this derby represents Europe versus Asia, with Galatasaray based on the European side and Fenerbahçe on the Asian shore of the Bosphorus. First contested in 1909, this is one of the oldest rivalries in football. Galatasaray is associated with the educated, westernized elite, while Fenerbahçe represents the people, the masses who see their club as the voice of ordinary Turks. The clubs have dominated Turkish football. Fenerbahçe has won 19 Super League championships, while Galatasaray has claimed 24 championships. But statistics don't capture the intensity of this rivalry. The atmosphere at the Turk Telekom Stadium and the Shukru Sarasoglu Stadium is absolutely volcanic, with fans creating coordinated displays involving tens of thousands of supporters. The rivalry has produced legendary moments and unfortunate violence. The 2002 match saw a Galatasaray fan tragically killed in pre-match clashes. In 1996, Fenerbahçe manager Christoph Daum famously ran onto the pitch to celebrate in front of Galatasaray fans after a victory, creating a flashpoint moment that's still discussed today. Galatasaray achieved international glory by winning the UEFA Cup in 2000, becoming the first Turkish club to win a European trophy. Both clubs have passionate support across Turkey and the Turkish diaspora worldwide. The political element adds another layer. Galatasaray is often seen as more secular and Western-oriented, while Fenerbahçe has broader populist appeal. Players rarely move between these clubs, and those who do face tremendous backlash. When the Intercontinental Derby takes place, Istanbul essentially shuts down, with massive police presence and security measures that treat the match like a state emergency. This is Turkish football at its most intense, where the beautiful game meets cultural identity and civic pride.
Sliding into number 8 is Greece's most explosive rivalry, the derby of the eternal enemies between Olympiacos and Panathinaikos. This Athens-area clash, first played in 1925, represents one of European football's most passionate and occasionally dangerous encounters. Olympiacos, based in the port of Piraeus, represents the working-class maritime community, while Panathinaikos from central Athens is traditionally associated with the educated middle class and establishment. The class divide gives this derby its edge and intensity. Olympiacos has completely dominated Greek football with 47 league titles, while Panathinaikos has won 20 championships. The Georgios Karaiskakis Stadium becomes a fortress of red, while the Olympic Stadium pulses with green when these teams meet. The atmosphere is intimidating beyond measure, with flares, deafening noise, and choreographies that cover entire stands. Greek football's golden era in European competition added fuel to this fire. Panathinaikos reached the European Cup final in 1971, losing to Ajax, while Olympiacos has been a regular Champions League participant. The matches have produced both brilliance and controversy. The 2008 Greek Cup final was abandoned after violence erupted, highlighting the dark side of this intense rivalry. Political undertones have always been present. During Greece's military dictatorship in the late 1960s, the regime allegedly favored Olympiacos, making Panathinaikos a symbol of resistance for some. In 1999, a particularly heated derby saw multiple red cards and post-match violence that led to severe sanctions. Players who switch between these clubs are branded as traitors. When Predrag Djordjevic moved from Panathinaikos to Olympiacos in 2007, he required police protection and faced death threats. The economic crisis that hit Greece hard in the 2010s affected both clubs, but the rivalry's intensity never diminished. When the eternal enemies meet, Greece watches, and football becomes a proxy war for class, region, and pride. At number 7, we head to the Netherlands for De Klassieker, the classic rivalry between Ajax in Amsterdam and Feyenoord Rotterdam. This is Dutch football's defining rivalry, representing the nation's two largest cities and completely different philosophies. Ajax, founded in 1900, represents Amsterdam's sophisticated, cultured identity and plays beautiful technical football developed through their legendary youth academy. Feyenoord, established in 1908, represents Rotterdam's working-class, no-nonsense approach and the gritty port city mentality. The contrast between the cities fuels the rivalry. Amsterdam is the cosmopolitan capital and cultural center, while Rotterdam is the hard-working port city that was devastated by Nazi bombing in 1940 and rebuilt itself through sheer determination. Ajax has won 36 Eredivisie titles and reached legendary status by winning 3 consecutive European Cups from 1971 to 1973 with total football under Rinus Michels and Johan Cruyff. Feyenoord has claimed 16 league championships and won the European Cup in 1970, becoming the first Dutch club to achieve this feat.
The Johan Cruyff Arena and De Kuip, officially Stadion Feyenoord, become battlegrounds when these teams clash. De Kuip is particularly special, a historic stadium with incredible atmosphere that UEFA has recognized as one of Europe's finest. The matches have produced memorable moments, including Feyenoord's shocking 10-0 victory over Ajax in 1983, the biggest win in this rivalry's history. Ajax dominated in the 1990s under Louis van Gaal, winning 3 consecutive titles and the Champions League in 1995. The rivalry occasionally turns ugly. In 1997, serious violence between supporters led to heightened security measures that continue today. Players who cross this divide face intense scrutiny, though some, like Giovanni van Bronckhorst, have managed both clubs in their careers. The cultural differences extend beyond football. Ajax fans are often stereotyped as arrogant, while Feyenoord supporters embrace their underdog, working-class image with pride. When the Klassieker is played, Dutch football takes center stage, and 2 cities compete for supremacy. Reaching the halfway point at number 6 is Italy's most intense city derby, the della Capitale, between Lazio and Roma. This Rome derby splits the eternal city in a way few rivalries can match. Lazio, founded in 1900, is the older club, but Roma, established in 1927 through a merger of 3 Roman clubs, quickly became the people's team and claims to represent true Roman identity. The rivalry has clear class and political dimensions. Lazio has historically been associated with wealthier areas and right-wing politics, while Roma represents working-class neighborhoods and left-leaning supporters. What makes this derby unique is that both teams share the Stadio Olimpico, meaning every match is a home game for both sides. The stadium splits perfectly down the middle. The Curva Sud belongs to Roma's Ultras, while the Curva Nord is Lazio's domain. Both groups spend weeks preparing elaborate choreographies designed to intimidate their rivals and inspire their team. Roma has won 3 Serie A titles, most recently in 2001, while Lazio has claimed 2 championships in 1974 and 2000. The 1999-2000 season saw both clubs competing for the title, with Lazio ultimately winning in one of the most dramatic title races in Serie A history. Individual derby matches have produced iconic moments. Francesco Totti, Roma's beloved captain, scored crucial derby goals throughout his career, including a memorable celebration in front of Lazio fans in 2006 that nearly caused a riot. In 2015, Roma humiliated Lazio 3-0 in a derby that established their superiority in that period. The rivalry has seen tragedy, too. In 2007, Lazio fan Gabriele Sandri was shot and killed by police before a derby, leading to riots and one of the darkest days in Italian football. The 2017-18 season saw both clubs competing in the Champions League, raising the stakes even higher. Players who switch sides face enormous pressure. Only a handful have dared make this move directly. The tactical battles have been fascinating, with managers like Jose Mourinho for Roma and Maurizio Sarri for Lazio adding strategic depth to the passion. When the Derbo della Capitale kicks off, Rome divides, and the Olimpico becomes a cauldron of noise, color, and unbridled emotion. Breaking into our top 5 at number 5 is Scotland's Old Firm Derby between Celtic and Rangers, arguably the most religiously and politically charged rivalry in world football. First played in 1888, this Glasgow grudge match transcends sport and touches the deepest fault lines in Scottish society. Celtic was founded in 1887 by an Irish Catholic priest, Brother Walfrid, to raise money for poor Irish immigrants in Glasgow's East End. Rangers, established in 1872, became associated with Scottish Protestantism, unionism, and loyalty to the British Crown. This sectarian divide reflects centuries of Irish-Scottish history, immigration, and religious conflict. The intensity is unlike anything else in football. This isn't just about winning matches, it's about identity, faith, and cultural survival. Both clubs have absolutely dominated Scottish football. Rangers hold 55 league titles, while Celtic has won 54 championships, meaning these two clubs have won 109 of Scotland's 130-plus top division titles. Celtic Park and Ibrox Stadium become battlegrounds when these teams clash. Celtic achieved legendary status by winning the European Cup in 1967, becoming the first British club to do so, with a team of players all born within 30 miles of Glasgow, the famous Lisbon Lions. Rangers responded with European Cup Winners' Cup success in 1972. The matches have produced memorable moments. Rangers' 5-1 victory in 1988, Celtic's 6-2 demolition in 2000, and countless last-minute winners that swing city bragging rights. The rivalry has seen legendary players on both sides. Rangers' Ali McCoist and Brian Laudrup, Celtic's Henrik Larsson and Kenny Dalglish. In 2012, Rangers suffered financial collapse and were relegated to Scotland's 4th tier, but even this couldn't diminish the rivalry's intensity. When Rangers returned to the top flight in 2016, the old firm was restored to its full glory. Violence, unfortunately, has been part of this rivalry's story, with sectarian violence occasionally spilling from the terraces onto Glasgow's streets.
At number 4, we enter Germany's industrial heartland for the Revierderby between Borussia Dortmund and Schalke 04. This is the Derby of the Ruhr Valley, where coal mining and steel production didn't just build Germany's industrial might, they forged two of the nation's most passionate football clubs. Separated by just 30 kilometers, Dortmund and Gelsenkirchen are neighboring cities locked in eternal rivalry. The Derby dates back to 1925 and has been contested nearly 200 times, with each encounter dripping with working-class pride and regional identity. Borussia Dortmund plays at Signal Iduna Park, home to the famous Yellow Wall, the Südtribüne, the largest standing terrace in European football, holding 25,000 fans who create a wall of noise and color that intimidate opponents before kickoff. Dortmund has won 8 Bundesliga titles and claimed the Champions League in 1997, defeating Juventus in Munich. Schalke 04 has won 7 Bundesliga championships, though none since 1958, making their trophy drought a source of constant torment, especially when contrasted with Dortmund's recent success. Despite this, Schalke's fan base is among the most loyal in world football, sticking with their club through relegation in 2021 and financial struggles. The Veltins Arena becomes a fortress for derby matches, with over 60,000 fans creating an atmosphere that players describe as both inspiring and terrifying. What makes this rivalry special is its purity. There are no religious or deep political undertones, just pure geographical hatred between neighbors. It's about local pride, bragging rights, and the simple fact that your biggest enemy lives just down the road. The matches regularly feature the highest attendance figures in German football. Memorable moments include the dramatic 4-4 draw in 2017 when Dortmund came back from 4 down, and Schalke's 5-2 victory at Signal Iduna Park in 2017, their first win in Dortmund in years. The rivalry honors the region's industrial heritage through traditions like the Miners' Trophy. Players who directly switch between these clubs are extremely rare and face severe backlash. Manuel Neuer is still hated by Schalke fans, not for joining Bayern Munich, but for the manner of his departure. The Revierderby represents German football's passionate heart, where working-class communities pour their identity into their clubs, and Derby Day becomes the most important day of the season. Climbing into our top 3, at number 3 is one of world football's most unique rivalries, the Derby della Madonnina between AC Milan and Inter Milan. Named after the golden statue of the Virgin Mary atop the Milan Duomo Cathedral, this derby is unique because both clubs share the same stadium, the iconic San Siro, officially Stadio Giuseppe Meazza. The rivalry began in 1908 when a group of Italian and foreign members split from AC Milan to form Football Club Internazionale, wanting to allow foreign players while AC Milan maintained an Italians-only policy.
This philosophical split shaped early identities, though over the decades these have evolved and sometimes reversed. AC Milan became associated with the Milanese working class and Italian identity, while Inter positioned itself as the cosmopolitan international club. Today, both clubs represent different aspects of Milan's identity. AC Milan is often seen as more traditionally Milanese, while Inter attracts support from across Italy. Both are absolute giants of European football. AC Milan has won 19 Serie A titles and 7 European Cups or Champions League trophies, making them one of the most successful clubs in history. Inter has claimed 20 Serie A championships, most recently dominating with back-to-back titles in 2023-24, and has won 3 European Cups, including the famous treble under Jose Mourinho in 2010. The shared stadium creates fascinating dynamics. The San Siro splits perfectly down the middle in red and black versus blue and black, with both sets of fans knowing every inch of their home ground. The atmosphere is intense, but generally less violent than European derbies, with the focus more on footballing superiority. The matches have produced spectacular football. The 2003 Champions League semifinals saw both Milan clubs meet on Europe's biggest stage, with AC Milan progressing after a controversial encounter and eventually winning the trophy. The 2010-2011 season saw both clubs dominate Italian football, meeting 5 times across all competitions. Legendary players have graced both sides: Franco Baresi, Paolo Maldini, and Andrei Shevchenko for AC Milan, Javier Zanetti, Ronaldo, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic for Inter. Speaking of Ibrahimovic, his move from Inter to AC Milan in 2010 was one of the most controversial transfers in Derby history. Recent years have seen both clubs struggle financially compared to Europe's elite, but local pride remains intense. The Derby della Madonnina represents football at its most sophisticated, where tactical intelligence and technical quality matter as much as passion, and where the whole world watches to see which half of Milan claims supremacy. Taking the silver medal at number 2 is England's defining rivalry, Liverpool versus Manchester United. This is the clash between England's 2 most historically successful clubs, separated by just 35 miles along the M62 motorway, but divided by more than a century of industrial competition, economic rivalry, and sporting hatred. The roots go back to the Industrial Revolution, when the Manchester Ship Canal, completed in 1894, allowed ships to bypass Liverpool's port and reach Manchester directly, devastating Liverpool's economy and creating resentment that would manifest on the football pitch. Liverpool represents proud Scouse identity, a city that sees itself culturally distinct, with its own accent, humor, and working-class solidarity forged through industrial decline and tragedy. Manchester United represents the commercial powerhouse of modern football, a global brand built on unprecedented success and tragic resilience after the 1958 Munich air disaster that killed 23 people, including 8 players. The trophy count tells a story of shifting power. Manchester United has won 20 league titles, including 13 Premier League championships under Sir Alex Ferguson, establishing a dynasty that dominated English football from the 1990s through 2013. Liverpool has won 19 league titles, but none between 1990 and 2020, a drought that caused immense frustration as United dominated. Liverpool's consolation was European success. They've won 6 European Cups or Champions League trophies, twice as many as United's 3. The rivalry intensified during the 1970s and 1980s, when Liverpool's dynasty under Bob Paisley and Joe Fagan regularly crushed United's hopes, winning 11 league titles in 18 years. Then came Sir Alex Ferguson, who broke Liverpool's dominance and built United into England's greatest club, all while Liverpool's trophy cabinet gathered dust. The psychological warfare was intense. Ferguson relished reminding Liverpool fans that they couldn't win the league, while Liverpool supporters took solace in their European pedigree and history. Old Trafford and Anfield become absolutely hostile environments for these fixtures. The atmosphere is venomous, with away fans allocated minimal tickets and subjected to non-stop abuse. The matches have produced unforgettable moments. Manchester United's 1-0 victory at Anfield in 1999 on their treble-winning run, Liverpool's 4-1 thrashing at Old Trafford in 2009, Steven Gerrard's slip in 2014 that cost Liverpool the title, and countless dramatic late winners. Players who've crossed this divide are forever marked. Paul Ince made the controversial move and faced hatred from Liverpool fans. Michael Owen's transfer to United in 2009 was seen as the ultimate betrayal by Liverpool supporters, and even the suggestion of players moving between the clubs causes outrage. The managerial battles added extra spice. Ferguson versus Kenny Dalglish, then Rafael Benitez, whose infamous Facts press conference rant in 2009 became legendary. More recently, Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool returned to dominance, winning the Champions League in 2019 and ending their 30-year league title drought in 2020, setting up renewed battles with United. This isn't just football, it's about city pride, industrial history, class identity, and the fundamental question of who rules English football. When Liverpool faces Manchester United, England stops, productivity drops, and football becomes the only thing that matters.
And here we are at number 1, El Clásico, the rivalry between Barcelona and Real Madrid, the most watched club football match on planet Earth. This transcends sport and enters the realm of political warfare, cultural conflict, and historical grievance that defined Spain itself. First contested in 1902, El Clásico has been played over 250 times and represents the fault line running through Spanish society for over a century. Real Madrid, based in Spain's capital, represents centralized Spanish power, Castilian culture, and historically the forces that supported Francisco Franco's dictatorship from 1939 to 1975. Barcelona, capital of Catalonia, represents Catalan identity, language, culture, and historically the resistance against Madrid's centralized control and Franco's oppression of regional identities. Under Franco's dictatorship, the Catalan language was banned, and Barcelona became a symbol of resistance. The Camp Nou was one of the few places where Catalan could be openly spoken. This political dimension makes El Clásico unlike any other football rivalry. The football has been otherworldly. Real Madrid has won a record 36 La Liga championships and an astonishing 15 European Cup/Champions League trophies, making them the most successful club in European competition by a huge margin. Barcelona has claimed 27 La Liga titles and 5 Champions League trophies, along with numerous domestic cups. These aren't just Spain's best clubs, they're two of the greatest football institutions ever created. The Camp Nou, Europe's largest stadium with 99,000 capacity, and the Santiago Bernabéu, recently renovated into a futuristic coliseum, become theaters where the world's greatest players showcase their talents. And what players they've been! Barcelona's history includes Johan Cruyff, Diego Maradona, Ronaldinho, Xavi Hernandez, Andrés Iniesta, and Lionel Messi. Real Madrid counters with Alfredo Di Stéfano, Ferenc Puskás, Zinedine Zidane, Cristiano Ronaldo, and now Vinicius Jr. and Jude Bellingham. The Messi-Ronaldo era from 2009 to 2018 elevated El Clásico to unprecedented global heights. These weren't just matches, they were events that determined the Ballon d'Or winner and defined a generation. The two greatest players of their time going head-to-head 4 or more times per season created football moments that will never be forgotten. Messi's 91 goals in 2012, Ronaldo's bicycle kicks, the 5-0 humiliations, the last-minute winners. Every match was a potential classic. The tactical battles have been equally compelling. Pep Guardiola's tiki-taka Barcelona, built around Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi, faced José Mourinho's counter-attacking Real Madrid in matches that became philosophical wars about how football should be played. The intensity boiled over into ugliness. Mourinho's eye poke of Barcelona assistant Tito Vilanova, numerous red cards, and accusations of referee bias from both sides. Luis Figo's transfer from Barcelona to Real Madrid in 2000 for a world record fee remains one of football's most controversial moves. When he returned to Camp Nou, fans threw objects, including a pig's head, creating one of the most hostile atmospheres ever witnessed. The rivalry has financial implications too.
El Clásico generates an estimated 500 to 700 million global television viewers, making it the most watched annual sporting event worldwide. Both clubs are among the richest in football, with revenues exceeding €700 million annually, fueled partly by global interest in their rivalry. The recent shift in power has seen Real Madrid dominating, winning multiple Champions League titles, while Barcelona has faced financial crisis, but the rivalry's intensity never diminishes. When Barcelona faces Real Madrid, Spain divides, the world watches, and football becomes art, politics, and war combined into one unforgettable spectacle. This is the ultimate club rivalry, global in reach, local in hatred, and eternal in significance.